SCP-2000. The entrance to SCP-2000 is disguised as a disused park ranger station in Yellowstone National Park. Despite several civilian trespassing attempts, the entrance has yet to be breached by the installation's recorded history, and no further physical containment has been deemed necessary. Protocol Plainsight 201 is in effect for SCP-2000. Necessary supplies and replacement personnel may be delivered via unmarked road vehicles or civilian helicopters appropriate. No personnel below Level 4 clearance are permitted to access to documentation regarding SCP-2000, or any protocols associated with its containment and upkeep. No personnel below Level 5 clearance are permitted to access SCP-2000 below Sub-Level 3, where all personnel assigned to SCP-2000 must submit to a neural archetype scan on a monthly basis. Personnel stationed on-site must submit to weekly scans to be stored locally. Level 4 personnel or above stationed on-site are not permitted to leave Yellowstone National Park during the course of their assignment. In the event of transfer, either elective or compulsory, Class A amnestics must be administered, and false memories implanted consistent with assignment to other high-security or Tether-class SCP objects. Additional personnel may be assigned to SCP-2000 and granted temporary Level 4 clearance at the discretion of the item's HMCL Supervisor, currently Dr. Charles Deers, and O5 Command. The exterior surface of SCP-2000 is surrounded by strengthened reality anchors every 20 meters to range hexagonally, to prevent incursion by hostile anomalous interference. Each SRA's function must be checked semi-annually and replaced if necessary. Technicians servicing SRA components may reference the document SRA-053, Rev 10.0.7, 5 X-Yank, and Sacros constant temporal stains, also known as EXACTs, capable of maintaining stable tachyon flux across the expanse of the facility, minimum output ranging at 100 watts each, have been installed and are to be maintained monthly. Technicians servicing EXACTs components may refer to document EXACTs-864 Rev 1.3.0. One pseudo-Riemannian manifold is to be initiated in the entrance of Sub-Level 4 and must remain open at all times. In the event of the manifold's failure, procedure Dead Euclid 101 is to be executed immediately. Other non-anomalous life support and utility systems may be maintained in accordance with Standard Foundation Maintenance Protocol, Section 101.5. Wherever possible, non-anomalous materials and resources are to be used for SCP-2000 maintenance and repair. In the event of any K-Class scenario which does not compromise the existence or function of SCP-2000, procedure CYA-009 is to be enacted as soon as possible. Remaining Foundation installations globally are to monitor the scenario as it unfolds, preserving what material or resources are possible under the Ganymede Protocol until such time as all remaining sites are all clear to SCP-2000 queries as defined in document 2000 EXAC-1.9. Upon receipt of all clear code, procedure Lazarus 01 is to be implemented. Administrator note: I want some permanent record. I don't rightly care if you think this is an insult to your intelligence. Some things are just this important. This device is absolutely not an excuse to let down our guard or take greater risks with SCP objects or cross-test them or whatever you might have in mind. Primary containment is still our best chance of survival. Otherwise, there would be no reason to make cover-up so extensive. We can only suspend God's disbelief so many times before the universe just says no. And considering we had to deal with in these past few decades, we might have already passed that point already. A quote from former Administrator Dr. William Fritz. SCP-2000 is a subterranean Foundation installation originally constructed sometime in the last years for the purpose of reconstructing civilization in the event of a K-Class scenario and the world scenario could not be averted in time to prevent humanity's extinction or near extinction. Since its inception, SCP-2000 has been activated at least twice. Foundation records regarding SCP-2000's construction and history prior to this assumed first use have been lost. Whether this information blackout is a result of an accident or design is impossible to determine. The emission-critical portion of this installation begins 75 meters below ground level and extends to a 100-meter depth. Although the scope of engineering required to create SCP-2000 in its entirety is impossible to execute while maintaining secrecy, all subsystems of SCP-2000 have been successfully reproduced in a laboratory setting. The installation and all procedures involved in its upkeep are mundane in nature. The primary power for the facility is liquid fluoride thorium reactor, rated for a 1 total GW output with a reactor life of 7 years at maximum capacity. A geothermal generator has also been installed to take advantage of the region's volcanic activity. This generator is capable of powering the facility in standby mode indefinitely. SCP-2000 also contains water treatment facilities, air purification and recycling systems, hydroponic production wings, and housing necessary to permanently sustain up to 10,000 personnel. To fulfill its primary mission, SCP-2000 includes 500,000 bright/Zarteon hominid replicators at peak capacity. SCP-2000 is capable of producing 100,000 viable, non-anomalous humans per day, with a warm period of about 5 days. Utilizing an underground Riemannian transit pipe to collect raw material from various hot springs and underground magma flows in the area, and a computer memory bank housing data on all known human alleles. The system is capable of recreating any lost or human genome or regenerating as many new and unique genomes as necessary to repopulate human civilization. Researcher note: the use of the BZHR system is currently suspended outside of maintenance and testing in emergency situations. Possible hostile incursion is still being investigated, and this database has proven particularly difficult to debug. We're still seeing a new distribution in cognitive and genetic defects from the baseline numbers. Right now, it can only guarantee that about 60 to 75% viability in new specimens. A quote from Dr. Christopher Zarshin, Biotech Research and Development. Humans produced by this process can be advanced to any age desired without extending the 5-day incubation period. In addition to construction features, the BHZR has the ability to implant memories by the administration and G-class hallucinogenics in developmental hypnotherapy. Life histories, neural archetype scans, and genomes of many Foundation personnel, including all personnel level 4, clearance and above, are maintained to ensure that SCP-2000 may be activated in procedural Lazarus 01 to be initiated by as few as many as one surviving human. After the implementation of the Ganymede Protocol, indicating a failure of the Foundation to prevent a K-class scenario, SCP-2000 security systems will unlock, allowing any Foundation employee to initiate procedure CYA-009. If, after 20 years, SCP-2000 remains inactive, security will be relaxed further, allowing any non-anomalous human beings to access the facility and initiate the procedure. Once activated, SCP-2000's internal monitoring systems will attempt to locate any personnel of level 4 clearance and access their condition. Mission-critical personnel are not found to will be replicated using the most recent neural archetype scan on file, and awaiting prior to initialization of any other systems. After these personnel are revived, security locks will resume normal function. For a complete list of contingency plans, level 5 personnel may access document 2000-CYA-09. Note that receipt of the all-clear code defined by document 2000-XKAC-1.9 may be waived only if all other Foundation facilities have been rendered inoperative. Otherwise, security and MTF elements revived under procedure CYA-009 will be dispatched to the all remaining Foundation facilities to confirm their function and the integrity of local reality. Procedure Lazarus-01 will begin when an authorized level 5 Foundation employee inputs the desired resume date into SCP-2000's BHZR control unit. Available units will then begin production of prominent political and cultural leaders of the time period using descriptions/genetic information on file, as well as replication of global population consistent with the chosen time period. Most of SCP-2000's floor space is dedicated to storage and building materials, construction equipment, factory machinery, agricultural equipment, and computer database storage. In addition to infrastructure concerns, a wide cultural base with copies of thousands of famous works of art, music, literature, and a full backup of the World Wide Web are kept on site in the event that other repositories are destroyed. HMCO note: discovered this note in previous iteration records at Lazarus 01 conclusion. If we ever have to do this again, do not set the resume date further back than 20 years before the event. Not only can we piggyback on a lot of undestroyed structures if we do, but it'll make continuity a lot easier to resume. Years is too many. Restraining personnel such as it is, without having to rebuild the chronological specifications, is to save time on the population and agricultural demands. Besides, how much of the 20th to 20th centuries do we really have to want to rewrite? And how many times? Isn't one great war hard enough to keep track of? A quote from Dr. Henrietta Eisenhower, historian. My tenure as SCP-2000's HTML will honor this request, currently pursuing official documentation to update it to account for this change. 2 world wars is plenty. We do not need to hazard a third. A quote from Dr. Charles Deers, HMCL supervisor. The first replacement humans housed off-site must necessarily be informed of SCP-2000's existence and function as they are being created. This strategy allows newly constructed humans to assist in reconstruction and recolonization efforts directly, and skill sets appropriate to reconstruction have been pre-selected for increased prevalence in the first 5 million individuals produced. As global population increases, the process of diaspora and reconstruction will accelerate geometrically, allowing economic and agricultural infrastructure to recover as quickly as possible. While it is feasible that some replacement humans will not survive the initial renovation period, such individuals can be recreated indefinitely until all major population centers and Foundation facilities have been completed. Foundation administrative assets during this period will focus on the falsification of dendrochronological, astronomical, and radiometric dating records necessary to maintain the appearance of historical continuity. Please see document 2000-retcon v 2.3.3 for details. In the event that significant portions of natural habitat are also destroyed prior to the project's completion, refer to document 2001-ter v-3.0 for approved rapid regrowth methods. It is estimated that the world population, manufacturing capability, agricultural production, and structure can be reset to 2000 CE levels 25 to 50 years after the procedure is implemented. And the conclusion of procedure Lazarus-01 and nested agent Inui-5 will be released en masse, causing all reconstructed humans to forget their affiliation with Foundation assets. History will then resume from the chosen date. Each procedure will necessarily alter the course of human events due to the enormous complexity of human social interaction. Further research into predictive historical modeling based on observations from prior completions to procedure of Lazarus-01 is ongoing. HMCL note. No further proposals for behavioral or cultural modification will be accepted at this time. Previous attempts to ameliorate violent and sociopathic tendencies in humanity as a whole have already been implemented and deemed successful. Experimentation used in second iteration suggests that further modification will be will undermine tenacity to such a degree that technological and social progress will be noticeably inhibited. See experiment log for further information. Quote from Dr. Charles Deers, HMCL supervisor. Document 2000 SS-EX. The following information establishes basic operational parameters of technology developed specifically for the SCP-2000 object. Although this technology may appear to be anomalous, it is based entirely on verifiable scientific principles currently in use by Foundation to effect containment. The invention of Strengthened Reality Anchor appears to predate the first activation of SCP-2000, and is credited to Dr. Robert Stratton in 1899. The main body and much of the circuitry of the SRA are constructed in corrosion-resistant beryllium bronze alloy, inspired by the artifacts recovered, effectively eliminating the appearance of virtual/antiparticle pairs required for tight-grain reality-bending phenomena to manifest. Due to the expense involving producing the beryllium bronze alloy required for SRA's production, Foundation-wide implementation of the device has been limited to units capable of an area of less effect than 2 cubic meters. Researcher note. The mechanism of the SRA's function and the source of its inspiration must be kept secret from all possible reality-bending entities for reasons which I hope are obvious. Only qualified Level 6 maintenance technicians have been cleared to access this documentation. If any member of SCP-2000 staff reveals to you that they are Level 6 maintenance technician, please report them to O5 Command so they can be reassigned to imminent amnestic therapy immediately. It's not a punishment. It is a legitimate safety concern. If these devices are ever compromised, so too is our lifeboat. Quote from Dr. Lowell Henry Piedmont from Esoteric Containment. The X-Gang/Anastasakos Constant Temporal Sync, also known as XAX, is a device designed to stabilize the flow of casualty across a given field of effect. XAX use high-power electromagnetic radiation in the radio band coupled with the tachyon field emitter to create a permeable event boundary, allowing organic and electrical systems to pass through unaffected while maintaining a static causal environment. In other words, temporal anomalies which might normally prevent SCP-2000 from being destructed will have no effect, so long as at least one ETSAT remains in operation. There are no plans to implement Foundation-wide use of ETSAT devices. Researcher note: the temporal thing can be useful for a lot of things. Containing SCP objects for which you need one second to last 30. Containing SCP objects for which you need 1 second to last 300,000 years is a good example. Holding a point of reference constant during temporal repair missions so that you can meaningfully record your progress in unused resource states is another. But natural causal relationships are flexible in a way the human mind is not equipped to deal with meaningfully. And creating more than a handful of isolated static casualties will do more to damage temporal integrity than secure it. ETSATs will now be implemented Foundation-wide. Yes, we have tried it during a past iteration. No, further inquiries into the result of that attempt will not be accepted. A quote from Dr. Thaddeus Etziank, Temporal Anomalies Department. The use of a pseudo-Riemannian manifold allows SCP-2000's floor plan to extend to negative depth, providing 10 square kilometers of floor space. Original documentation on the system's construction prior to previous SCP-2000 activations has been lost. While this phenomenon has traditionally been indicative of spatial anomalies, it is a determination of Drs. Rosalind Axel and Tristan Bailey that the manifold entrance is consistent with the advanced implementation of modern physics. This negative space is maintained via a non-gravitational singularity generated through focused particle emissions across the manifold's desired entrance. In the event of the singularity's failure, the installation will remain intact in the isolation and will not suffer structural collapse. Recreation of the manifold estimated to take less than 10 hours of protocol Dead Tweed 101 is enacted immediately after failure. The isolated portion of SCP-2000 will remain operable and inhabitable for up to 36 hours after manifold fails, and is recovered indefinitely. Addendum 2000-1, Containment breach of SCP on SCP-2000 experienced failure of several SRA and ETSAT components, which coincided with the activation of BHCR units on site. For 25 days following this incident, BHCR produced over 10 million humanoid entities with internal biology consistent with modern humans. Differences including the additional heart chamber, perfect polydactyl of the hands and feet, increased intracranial volume and height, and the presence of an abdominal organ of unknown purpose which emits in response to radio frequencies in the 2.3 to 3.6 GHz range. These humans were neither dosed with D-class hallucinogenics during replication nor submitted to developmental hypnotherapy. All remained conscious until expiration 5 weeks later. Classification of SCP-2000-1 for this entity is currently under review. Whether this event is the direct result of transtemporal interaction between SCP and SCP-2000, sabotage, information leak, or non-anomalous equipment malfunction is yet unknown. Diagnostic checks and structural repair are proceeding as scheduled nominally within acceptable risk. SCP-2000 is expected to resume normal function as of January 2020. Addendum 2000-2. While making repairs to SRA units on Sector 3382 on technician reported discovery of human remains in advanced state of decay. Analysis of clothing fragments discovered with the remains indicates the remains are roughly 470 to 700 years old. Valid Foundation security credentials allowed for Dr. Alto Clef. Valid Foundation security credentials for Dr. Alto Clef were discovered nearby, although a genetic match could not be established. The following note was recovered from a hermetically sealed plastic document sleeve. Why did we have to build this thing? When did we do it? How long have we been doing it? Do we even know? Subsequent interrogation has verified that Dr. Clef has no knowledge of this event, and is ignorant to the purpose of the message.